Семья.
Family.
Let's get started.
His wife is a teacher.
His wife is a teacher.
Его жена учительница.
Wife.
Wife.
Жена.
She loves her husband very much.
She loves her husband very much.
Она очень любит своего мужа.
Husband.
Husband.
Муж.
My wife is a great cook.
My wife is a great cook.
Моя жена отлично готовит.
My wife is a great cook. My aunt always cooks delicious meals.
My aunt always cooks delicious meals.
Моя тетя всегда готовит вкусные блюда.
Aunt.
Aunt.
Тетя.
My uncle has a big house.
My uncle has a big house.
У моего дяди большой дом.
Uncle.
Uncle.
Дядя.
I have an aunt.
I have an aunt.
У меня есть тетя.
I have an aunt. She supports her husband in everything.
She supports her husband in everything.
Она поддерживает своего мужа во всем.
She supports her husband in everything. My uncle is coming to visit us.
My uncle is coming to visit us.
Мой дядя приезжает в гости.
My uncle is coming to visit us. He loves his wife with all his heart.
He loves his wife with all his heart.
Он любит свою жену всем сердцем.
He loves his wife with all his heart. My niece is very good at drawing.
My niece is very good at drawing.
Моя племянница очень хорошо рисует.
Niece.
Niece.
Племянница.
I love spoiling my niece with gifts.
I love spoiling my niece with gifts.
Я люблю баловать мою племянницу подарками.
I love spoiling my niece with gifts. My aunt is coming over soon.
My aunt is coming over soon.
Моя тетя скоро приедет.
My aunt is coming over soon. My uncle and I go fishing.
My uncle and I go fishing.
Мы с дядей ходим на рыбалку.
My uncle and I go fishing. I am very proud of my grandson.
I am very proud of my grandson.
Я очень горжусь своим внуком.
Grandson.
Grandson.
Внук.
My grandmother bakes the most delicious apple pie.
My grandmother bakes the most delicious apple pie.
Моя бабушка печет самый вкусный яблочный пирог.
grandmother.
Grandmother.
Бабушка.
This is a picture of my grandfather.
This is a picture of my grandfather.
Это фотография моего дедушки.
This is a picture of my grandfather. How's your aunt doing?
How's your aunt doing?
Как поживает твоя тетя?
How's your aunt doing? Going to see my grandpa.
Going to see my grandpa.
Собираюсь навестить своего дедушку.
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Дедушка.
Do you have a grandma?
Do you have a grandma?
У тебя есть бабушка?
Grandma.
Grandma.
Бабушка.
I love spending time with my grandmother.
I love spending time with my grandmother.
Я люблю проводить время с бабушкой.
I love spending time with my grandmother. My uncle died of cancer.
My uncle died of cancer.
Мой дядя умер от рака.
My uncle died of cancer. He likes to play games with his grandson.
He likes to play games with his grandson.
Он любит играть в игры со своим внуком.
He likes to play games with his grandson. My grandparents live in a beautiful house.
My grandparents live in a beautiful house.
Мои дедушка и бабушка живут в красивом доме.
Grandparents.
Grandparents.
Дедушка и бабушка.
Grandpa was right.
Grandpa was right.
Дедушка был прав.
Grandpa was right. My grandfather fought bravely in the war.
My grandfather fought bravely in the war.
Мой дедушка сражался храбро в войне.
My grandfather fought bravely in the war. His nephew is a bully.
His nephew is a bully.
Его племянник – хулиган.
Nephew.
Nephew.
Племянник.
I live with my grandparents.
I live with my grandparents.
Я живу с бабушкой, с дедушкой.
I live with my grandparents. I'm their nephew.
I'm their nephew.
Я их племянник.
I'm their nephew. I enjoy spending time with my niece.
I enjoy spending time with my niece.
Мне нравится проводить время со своей племянницей.
I enjoy spending time with my niece. Do you have grandchildren?
Do you have grandchildren?
У вас есть внуки?
Grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
Внуки.
He dotes on his grandson.
He dotes on his grandson.
Он обожает своего внука.
He dotes on his grandson. I'm their niece.
I'm their niece.
Я их племянница.
I'm their niece. I learned it from my grandmother.
I learned it from my grandmother.
Я научилась этому у своей бабушки.
I learned it from my grandmother. My grandchildren love to play football.
My grandchildren love to play football.
Мои внуки любят играть в футбол.
My grandchildren love to play football. My granddaughter is an excellent student.
My granddaughter is an excellent student.
Моя внучка отличная ученица.
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter.
Внучка.
My grandparents have 5 grandchildren.
My grandparents have 5 grandchildren.
У моих дедушки и бабушки 5 внуков.
My grandparents have 5 grandchildren. My niece is still a little.
My niece is still a little.
Моя племянница еще маленькая.
My niece is still a little. My aunt works in another city.
My aunt works in another city.
Моя тетя работает в другом городе.
My aunt works in another city. Let me introduce my wife.
Let me introduce my wife.
Позвольте представить вам мою жену.
Let me introduce my wife. She divorced from her husband.
She divorced from her husband.
Она развелась с мужем.
She divorced from her husband.